What's up? Welcome, everyone. We've got a live coming up with Scott Snell. Scott Snell was the U.S. team champion for Big Dog's Backyard Ultra this past year. He absolutely crushed it. And this year, he's already won two Backyard Ultras. He ran Capital Backyard Ultra, and then he also did the BS Backyard Ultra. So we're about to add him in, have him join, and then we'll kind of get into some all things ultra running, all things trail running. So stay tuned. What's up, Scott? How's it going?
Hey there. Good. How you doing,
Doing
Chase?
good. Happy to have you here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And then where are you calling in from?
I'm at home in New Jersey here.
Nice. Have you lived in New Jersey most of your life?
Well, it's turning into most of my life. Since last like 20. Let's see. Yeah, it's going on 20 years now. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it's been a while now. But I grew up in Iowa, so spent the first like 20 or so years of my life growing up in Iowa, and then I moved out to New Jersey. But been in New Jersey since like
Oh,
2006.
sweet. Running, like in terms of running wise, do you enjoy running in Iowa or running in New Jersey? What's got like the better trails and the better sites?
Yeah, as far as trails, I mean, I've found a lot more trails in New Jersey that I like running on. I wasn't as much of a runner in Iowa. It was very towards the very end of my time living in Iowa that I really got started getting into running. So, um, I guess I didn't really get to experience all of the running opportunities in Iowa. So, but
Yeah.
New Jersey's got lots of options. I mean, there's plenty. I mean, it's not, I guess we don't have like really like the big epic trails that a lot of like out west, like there's so many big trails. And I mean, there are a lot of other places on the East Coast, but New Jersey's got its share of trails. And I think uh, there's, it gets a bad rap as far as trails. I mean, I think New Jersey gets a bad stereotype, but there are some good trails and a lot of nice natural areas. I mean, we got like 70 miles of the Appalachian Trail
Oh, wow.
in North Jersey, so, and we got the 53-mile Betonia Trail in South Jersey. So it's got some good selection trails.
Oh, nice. What kind of got you into running to begin with? Did you have like a sports background growing up, or what kind of led you to ultra running?
Well, I mean, I played soccer like up until high school, so I was, somewhat athletic. But after I stopped playing soccer, it was just kind of like I was very non-athletic for a few years, like from high school and through college. Really wasn't very active or athletic at all. But yeah, then I met my wife, and she was a runner, so it was kind of like two part, like an excuse to hang out with her, to go running with her. And at the time, I was pretty heavy smoker at the time, so I was trying to quit smoking. So I used running as like a means to quit smoking. Anytime that urge came up, I just be like, all right, time to go for a run and kick that habit and pick up a new addiction.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was harder to quit smoking or harder to take on a backyard ultra?
I don't know. That's a toss up.
Yeah.
They're both pretty tough.
Yeah, sure. And then when did you do your first backyard ultra?
The first, well, it's kind of the first, like last person standing I did was in 2019. So that was Run Ragged in Connecticut. But it's kind of it's not really truly a backyard because it's only like a 5K course and it's still the 1 hour time frame. So it's a little shorter course. It's a tough course, but it's still that mile difference. It makes it. I think it made it a little bit more manageable to get it complete, without pushing the pace much. So that was the first like last person standing I did, and then it was only like maybe a few weeks later, I did another backyard that one of my buddies in PA put on, and he lives like right next to the Mid-State Trail, so he set up a course. Start and finish was right literally in his backyard, and there are about, I don't know, maybe like only 25 of us or so, but we just kind of did that for fun, not real competitive or anything. But we did that, and that was the first like official, like, well, whether it was official or not, I guess that's questionable, but it was the first like backyard format that I did. That was actually like the 4.167 mile loop every hour on the hour.
Oh, wow.
Then after that, the first like official one that actually shows up on Ultra sign up, I think that would be Keystone Backyard, which the race director, he did it for 2 years, and then I think he kind of ended the race after that, because I only saw the first 2 years, and I haven't seen it run since.
Yeah. Out of like all the formats you've done so far, would you say the backyard's one of your favorites, or do you have like some other ones that you like?
I I really do like the backyard format. I mean, it's kind of like it's a love-hate relationship, I guess, really, because like there's so much about it that I like, but it's really unique. And every time I've run one, at some point I've said to myself, I'm never doing this again. So it really does, like, it's pushed me more to like that point of being like your limits, like your highest highs and your lowest lows than other ultra races I've done. Like I've done a decent number of 100 milers and 50 milers and 100 Ks before that, before ever doing backyards. And I always like had high points and low points, but never to the same extreme that the backyard has pushed me to. So I guess I kind of like it for that reason, that it really like pushes me farther each direction than any other ultra marathon has.
Yeah, I feel like with endurance, so I've done like a lot of different like formats and different races, and I feel like I like to switch it up a lot of like different races that I do, but the backyard ultra is the only one that I like repeatedly have done over and over, and now I've done 4 times now. But I feel like the feeling that you always feel like you could do more, or you always feel like there's like room for improvement with it, which I feel like which draws me back to it, where it's like it's not just 100 miles and you're done. It's like you always feel like there's something more you could get out of it in some way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I always had that feeling from other ultras too. Anytime I finished, I was like, could I have pushed a little harder and finished a little faster? But I mean, I think it's even more so like the backyard, because I think it always leaves me questioning, like whether you're the last one standing or if you dropped out somewhere along the way, you're still questioning, like, well, if you dropped, you're like, what could I have done differently to had a better day, stayed in it longer? And then if you are the last one standing, you always have that question of like, well, I wonder how much more I had in the tank if I had been kept on being pushed to have to go farther. So it's like no matter how it ends, I think it still leaves you with like the question of what else was left, what could have been done differently.
Yeah, 100%. I know my girlfriend was talking to your wife a little bit during the race, and she found out that you like self-crew for some races. Have you self-crewed for any backyard ultras?
Yeah, I used to pretty much. Yeah, it was pretty much just like I'd show up by myself with my cooler and my chair,
Oh,
and
wow.
um, I'd been doing that up until it was my first year at Capitol, so that was in 2022. So I showed up there by myself, just like my I had my pop up and all my gear and stuff, and I self crewed for the first. It was like the first 2 days and 2 nights. I was pretty much on my own, and then by the third day, it got down to it was just a handful of runners left at the third day that year. I think like 7 or 8 of us, and on the third day, those numbers started dwindling pretty fast. It was a pretty hot year, and third day numbers are going to be dropping anyway. So when it got down to, I think, about 5 of us, I mean, all the race volunteers at Capitol are like so great, and they're like everybody's wants to help and push all the runners to go as far as possible. And when you're at the third day and there's only like 5 or 6 runners left, they're like even more so like doing everything they can to make sure everyone is taken care of. So even without a crew, I had plenty of help on that third day, just from race volunteers, Yeah, Sarah Smith, the race director. I mean, she was taking my hat after every yard and refilling it with ice for me. So I mean that was huge. Keeping the heat was a huge factor that year. So I mean I like it was just like a team effort, you know, from all the race volunteers and other runners that had ended their race and come back just to watch and help out. So I mean even though I showed up without a crew, I mean I had like a pit crew on that third day helping me out to keep me going.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That course was awesome. And yeah, Sarah was awesome during that course. Um, yeah, that's insane. I feel like self-crewing would be so much harder to know you have to like get your own water each time. And like, do you feel like you still have like your brain? I feel like I lose my brain pretty quick, you know, where I just want to focus on running and not really think about much else. Is it hard to like think like, oh, I need to get this or I need to get that?
Yeah, and that gets to be a challenge like as the race goes on because like when I was still pretty much just doing like just strictly self-crewed, I mean the farthest I went that way was at, at let's see, Keystone and Sasquatch Backyard. Those both went like 130 and 150 miles. So I mean that's like getting through one day and one night self-crewed. I think that's pretty manageable still. But the thing I've learned over like being self-crewed and having a dedicated crew team is like it just makes such a huge difference and it takes so much pressure off of you as a runner that I used to always like just have like a list of like five priority items like going into the pit stop, and it's like, well, if I get through the first three, then the next two will be top priority for the next one. And I just felt so rushed, and you get back out, you're like, oh, I forgot this or I forgot that, put that on the list. So it just felt like you're always like stressed to catch up and make up for anything on the list that you're trying to get done that you missed out on. So and on top of that, like the other thing I've realized with having a crew that first day, even though I'm still think I'm still confident that I could get through like the first day and night without crew support, you know, manage all right. The difference it makes in like just like relieving the stress for that first 24 hours and just making sure that everything's taken care of, like mentally and physically, and you're not falling behind and not like causing yourself extra stress that is really unnecessary that first 24 hours, and that just like sets you up better for the rest of the race after that 24 hours because that's really like the name of the game with the backyards is like just like minimize stress as much as possible early because it's at some point it catches up all of us in the backyard. So it's just like as much as you can minimize early in the race, it's going to pay dividends in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like especially like the things that you more so like avoiding problems that can come up later, or like for myself, that's what I noticed. Like make sure taking care of things so you're not chafing or taking care of blisters or whatever it may be, just trying to stay ahead of it. Yeah, I feel like doing that alone would be really hard. So that's yeah, huge props. That is awesome. I feel like that could be like a separate race of its own of just like going
Yeah, like
self-crewed.
crewed and uncrewed division.
Yeah, that is insane. Holy cow.
Yeah, the foot care is really tough, especially like when you don't have crew. So that I mean I pretty much always just got into the habit of just like expecting my feet to get destroyed and just being like, yeah, well, it's gonna
Oh,
happen.
wow. Yeah, dang. Have you had any like super rainy races like when you've self-crewed a backyard?
Not not terribly rainy. I'm trying to. I don't think I've had much rain during many backyard races. I think last year at Capitol there was a storm that moved through, but other than that, most of the backyards I've been pretty lucky and had good weather. They've all been pretty much dry, I think. Just
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest weather factor at any of the backyards I've done has been the heat at Capitol.
Mm.
Capitol is like the previous 3 years before this year. I mean, it was just pretty. I think it got up into like the 90s or close to 90,
Oh, wow.
like pretty much every year. So it was. I mean, it got hot, and the heat was a major factor there last like three
Yeah.
years.
Holy cow. And now, did you have like a big jump at any point going from like a certain number? saw you got into the 300s at Capitol in 2023. So was
Yeah,
there
yeah,
like a big
yeah.
jump that led to that, or was there like were you like kind of gradually building up to that?
That was one of the biggest jumps between backyards. I mean, it's kind of cool though, because I think pretty much my whole backyard progression. I mean, it's been pretty steady progression like over the last couple of years. But that Capitol backyard race in 20 um, yeah, so it would have been 2023 where Jen Russo and we broke 300 there. That was the biggest jump because I think prior to that, the longest I'd gone was well, it would have been the last year. Yeah, it would have been last year at Capitol. That was like
Oh wow.
250-ish, and then big. I think it was 260, and then so it was still a jump of like I think over 50 miles from a year ago, but yeah, it was my first year at Capitol was I think the biggest jump because prior to that at Sasquatch Backyard, the one that qualified me for Capitol, that one ended at 150 miles, and then it was the following year at Capitol that it came down to Jen and I there, and we went 1 or 2 yards into the third night, so it ended up being like I think I did 254 there that year.
Oh
So
wow.
it was a 100-mile increase in the backyard PR for me there.
Holy cow. Is Capitol grown to be like one of your favorite courses? I loved how it had a lot of shade throughout during the day. I feel like it looked like it was like a decent amount of elevation, but you don't really like feel it when you're running. I feel like it's kind of like a hidden elevation during the day, and then the night the flat's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's probably my favorite backyard course that I've run. It's probably my favorite backyard race that I've run. Um, it's just, I mean, it's so well supported. Sarah does such a great job, like organizing that race and getting all the volunteers out there. She's got such an awesome crew of volunteers, and it's just like super organized. The race support, the food is great. The trail is I mean, it's such a like relaxed, like chill trail, and it's almost no trip hazards the whole way. So you can, even when you're super groggy, like falling asleep, you can kind of just be mindlessly running on the trail without worrying about catching a toe. And as far as like the elevation, I mean, there is that elevation there, but it doesn't feel like much when you're doing it. I think it's just like spread out enough over the course, and none of it's really like a steep enough, long enough climb to really like hit you like, oh man, like, I got that big climb coming up that you're thinking about. You never, other than the one hill like coming out of the woods before you go back into the open area. That's the only climb that like I ever really think about on the course, and it's not a long climb. It's just like you're gonna hit that little climb before you exit the woods, and then you're 5 minutes and you're back at the aid station. So it feels manageable that way.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely want to come back for it. I love too, like even the tents are underneath the coverage, so it doesn't get too hot there, which is like awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that huge shelter, that was a huge improvement because I think that was their last year also. I think that might have been the first year, but but yeah, the first year I was there, that huge shelter wasn't there, so it was just
Oh wow.
like standard like everyone's got their pop up 10 by 10s and you got Tent City out there,
Yeah.
but then that shelter went up and man, that was such a huge improvement because we did get rain, like a overnight storm and some rain that year. So it kept everyone's crew dry, everyone's gear was dry. So I mean that made a huge difference. And then yeah, we were out in it, but it didn't rain long. So it was just like, you got hit with some rain and it was over pretty quick. I think the lightning was the scariest part.
Oh wow.
'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah, there was some pretty serious lightning last year at Capitol during the overnight storms, and got a little windy, um, but yeah, nobody died.
Yeah. There you go. And then for like backyard ultra rules, can you pause a race, or you got to go through, right? You got to keep going.
Yeah, there's some rules about that. I can't. I'm not sure of the exact details, but there's something about that. Like if the race director can make the call to like pause the race for weather related issues or anything like that. But then when the race director says, okay, it's safe to go back out, I think everyone is like starts back at like yard one. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
like a new race. Yeah, it's like a new
Oh,
race.
man, that is
Because
painful.
that happened with a guy who was like trying to qualify for the Canadian team in 2022, Justin Wright. So it was because of that he somehow it got kind of messed up because the race he was doing had to get reset like that. And so when that happened, there was no way he was gonna get like the spot on the Canadian team. But somehow it got kind of messy. Somehow it worked out that if he won the race, then he would have a spot on the American team.
Oh,
So he
wow.
ended up on the American. So he was like, I remember him telling me the story. I don't remember how it all worked out with like the rules and that, but he was like ready to pack up the car and go home. Like when they were resetting the race, then the race director like somehow told him, "Was like, no, you just got to win this thing, and you'll have a spot on the American team."
Holy cow.
So he's like, "All right, well, I'll just keep going then." But
Gee.
yeah, that's how we got him on our team in 2022. So it was cool like meeting him and like hearing that story because it was a different way for him to make the team, and it was kind of cool how it all worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like mentally that would be brutal to, especially if you're like super far into it and you hear that and you know you're like starting fresh, that'd be demoralizing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would just like be soul crushing. I mean, at one
Yeah.
point, to know if you're over 24 hours in and you're gonna restart, yeah, that'd be a tough one to come back
Yeah.
from.
And then for the US team, going into that race last year, did you have any like expectations going into it? Did you like know it'd end up that way? What was kind of like your thought process heading into it?
Yeah, last year was a silver ticket race for the 24 team, and at that point, um, I had a pretty safe like at large spot already. So I mean, yeah, the silver ticket was on my mind going into the race last year, but I, my head space wasn't like really good going into it last year, and I wasn't like for whatever reason I wasn't super motivated to be running Capital last year, and I ended up I ended up quitting. It was somewhere during like this towards the end of the second night. Nothing in particular, like nothing specific, was really going bad, but it was just like the motivation wasn't there. It was the motivation like fell off the second afternoon before the sun even set, and then like you go into the night and you get all the extra drowsiness from the previous night, and I just kind of like got to the point where it was like the motivation was gone and it wasn't fun anymore, and I laid down on that path and just stared at the sky for a little bit, and then I was just like, yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm going back and going to sleep, and that was my end of the end of my race in last year at Capitol. So it was. I mean, I kind of wanted to do something to redeem myself this year there, and really like show up with to really give it my all and stay in the race as long as possible, and not mentally quit like I did last year. So that was that was one of my big goal this year was just like to make sure I keep going till I can't finish a lap, because I think last year I'm sure I had more in me. It was just like mentally I checked out and was done. So, but it does it doesn't happen to me too often in the backyard. I mean, those thoughts always pop in. I think everyone gets those thoughts at some point in the backyard, but usually I'm able to just kind of keep them in check and focus on one more yard. But yeah, last year at Capitol, it got the best of me, and I yeah,
And then
it
and for
didn't.
like the team championships, you had like a huge bounce back. Um, for the team championships, like people are going in it to win it, right?
It's it's weird, yes and no, because I mean the team aspect is a huge part. I mean, at least for me, the team aspect is like a huge part, and I think everyone else on the team is like that is a big factor. But it's kind of there's no way to get around it in a backyard that at some point it's not a team sport. It's everyone for themselves. So I, I think as long as you can kind of like frame it that there's still your team is still fighting for something, then that team part is still there. So but and then at the same time there's benefits for being the last one. Like the last one gets the guaranteed spot to the individual. So even if everyone is all 100% focused and all in on the team, it's still going to come down to, well, if you want a guaranteed spot at the individual, you got to be the last one on the team. so it's like at some point it does come down to like you're still going to look at it as an individual race. For me though, at Bigs last year, it was the putting in a solid performance for the team was like number one on my list of goals. And so I really wasn't even like considering who the last one standing was going to be for our team. It wasn't even in my mind the first like 3 days. And then even the third night, we're out there running. We still had most of our team out there. I think over half our team was still running through that third night. And so we're chatting out there, and we're talking about how running through the third night, we're probably setting the bar for the qualification for the 2026 team as we're running the 2024 race. Because with the 2-year qualification period, it's like Bigs is basically like the first big race to qualify for the next team year in 2 years. So it was mainly like Levi Yoder and I were running together, and I had been thinking that, and then he mentioned it while we were running. So I was like, oh man, it's funny you say it, 'cause I was just thinking the same thing. And I think that kind of pushed us all and kept us focused on the team effort, the group we were in there running that night. And so it was really cool, because that way it kept me from even worrying or thinking about what's going to happen when it gets down to like the last 2 or 3, 4 people. Like I wasn't stressing over like who's going to be the last one standing. I was just focused on we're running as a team, and we're building a team for 2 years from now. So that it was nice in the sense that it kept the stress of the thought of how the race was going to play out and be down to 1 or 2 people at some point. It kept that stress out of my mind until it was out of my mind until the late in the 4th day, when it was down to just like 3 of us.
And then how'd that distance compare to what you did at Capitol in 2023? Because you went 366 this one. That's the furthest you've gone, right?
Yeah. So that's my PR was the 366 at Biggs. So that was Capital the previous year, I think was 312. So that was another pretty decent jump in like backyard distance. So, but the previous one, the 150 to 250ish, that was the biggest one. But
Yeah.
still, when you're already over 300 and you increase by another 50, it's like kind of even though it's a smaller jump, when you're over 300 miles, it feels like it was a pretty big jump.
Yeah. Holy cow. Do you notice any big differences like going from like day 2 to day 3? Is there anything like that immediately stands out, like sleep that gets really hard, or like what do you feel is like the top things that come up as you go further and further?
Like I've just found like my thinking starts getting a little bit fuzzier. Like you're definitely not working with 100% brain function after a couple nights without sleep. So yeah, I just start getting like really groggy and drowsy, and yeah, not thinking as clearly. Yeah, it's just like I always start like just seeing more things, like more shapes, like like the bark on trees starts looking like different things and shapes. And but the thing I've really found like mentally is like when I'm still like in conversation with other runners like that deep in a race on like during like the 3rd day, I always find myself like it kind of like almost feels like a daydreamy type feel, where like I might be like talking to someone, and then I'm not sure if I actually said something or if I just was thinking about saying it, and it just like starts feeling like almost like a daydream feel while like a waking dream almost while you're out there running. But like the other big thing I've noticed is like at some point it just like you get to a certain point of exhaustion and then it's just like it doesn't get worse. I mean, maybe it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it does get worse, but at least in bigs, like there was one point I think it was going into the fourth day where I thought, I'm at my max here, and it was going back to the day loop on the fourth day, and I was like, my legs feel shot. I don't think I'm gonna finish this yard. And my crew guy Jaron, he's just like, well, look, you said that yesterday, and you made it through just fine. You were okay. So just go out there, get a yard done, and then do one more. And and then I got a couple yards. He's like, see, so it's not getting worse, right? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's just it's just the same. It's just I hit that certain point, and it just like keeps on. It just kind of plateaus. So that's what I found like about like going like 2, 3, 4 days is when you hit that point and when you realize that it's just going to plateau at some point and not get worse, then it's like you kind of like you're just like in the zone, and it just like you feel like you could just keep going forever at that
Oh,
point.
wow. Do you feel like there is going to be like a limit to this? Do you feel like there's any like point where like there's no way the race could reach this many days?
I mean, there's got to be a limit at some point, but I don't think we're there yet. I mean, the way we've seen the record increase so much just in the last few years, I think that's a sign it's only going to increase more, over the next few years. So, I mean, I don't know what that limit is, but I think we still got a ways to go before anyone finds it. And I mean, I just saw this graphic come out recently with the list of all the backyard runners that have done over 100 yards, and I mean it's a few years ago there was no one was on that list, and I think everyone was like, that's impossible. No one's ever going to go 100 hours, and now we've got I think a list of like I think it's over 10 people on the list that have done over 100 hours, and some of them a few of them multiple times. So I think it's only going to keep that distance just going to keep on getting pushed, um, and yeah, maybe it'll plateau at some point, but I think it's going to keep on
Yeah.
increasing for the next few years.
I wonder if they'd ever like add any extra like stipulations to try to make it like end sooner if it gets like turns into a week or 2 weeks or like maybe the time gets a little bit shorter at a certain amount of time or something
Yeah,
to like to throw in a twist or something.
like the race director's agreement with wherever the race is like, my we got to get off the property here in a day, so let's wrap this thing up.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think
Uh,
about that. Because like
I
some of them they're paying for permits or yeah, that's a good
Right,
point.
right, yeah, because like Capital, I mean, it's on BLM land, so I mean, it's by permit, so it's like, well, yeah, if, like I don't know how long you get a permit for, like if you can do those indefinitely,
Yeah.
but yeah, at some point, I mean, that could roll in to be a factor, but I don't know. I mean, I have seen the other style races where like where they do have like a system where it's like a last person standing, but they reduce the time for each yard or every so many yards. So that's a kind of a cool twist on the backyard format because it's you know might benefit. I mean, for guys like me that don't have a whole lot of speed, it wouldn't benefit. But for the faster runners, I mean, if they can go far and still have speed, I mean, that'd be a good race for them.
Yeah, definitely. Now with the backyard ultra, have you always had like the same approach with your loops for like ones you've done in the past with how you do it now? Is there anything like you've changed like your pacing of it, or have you always kind of kept it the same?
It's been pretty much the same, I think, since I started. Since my first last person standing. I think the first one I did, I might have done a few more like faster loops, like thinking that it'd be nice to have more time between loops to eat and drink, refuel, all that. But yeah, since I started doing backyards more and more, I mean, I've just gotten more into like just like my method is always like about 7 or 8 minutes on the day loops between laps, and I feel like anything more than that for me, it's I feel like I'm just like kind of waiting to go back out. So I'd rather just be running at what feels like a pretty comfortable, manageable pace for most of the race, and then just sitting down for a few minutes to drink and refuel and everything, and then just getting back up and going out again. And I mean, if there's something like extra I need to do, like a shoe change or sock change, or take care of chafing or hot spots on the feet or anything, so then I will pick up the pace a little to give myself a few extra minutes. But otherwise, it's like 7 or 8 minutes is kind of like the what I'm always shooting for during the day. Then, I mean, during the nights, I probably get closer to like 10 minutes between laps, just to give myself a few extra minutes to close my eyes. But I'd say, yeah, for the last few years, that's kind of been my strategy, and it hasn't changed much.
And I noticed too, like it looks like in terms of like nutrition, you kind of like test around with a lot of different stuff, right? Like you don't just stick to one thing. It's like I think I've seen like candy or different sorts of stuff. Do you feel like your stomach can take down food pretty easily?
Yeah, yeah, I'm blessed with a pretty good stomach. It doesn't get upset on me very often. So yeah, I test out a lot of different things. Like I break that rule about not testing new things during a race, like pretty much every race.
Oh wow.
Like at Capital this year when they had the little mini Euros. So I was like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
I've never had a Euro during a race, but I'll give it a shot. So I ate like two or three of those between yards one time, which was a little bit too much. And that's the other thing I've found. Like if I have too much time between yards, I end up eating more, and then I just feel like my stomach is a little too full going back out. So, so I've really just like try to like eat a little bit, at least some real food between every yard, but not too much that my stomach feel overfull or sloshy going back out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever thought of like I've seen you've done like a ton of different 100-mile races. You've done like a 48-hour race. Have you ever thought of doing like the Cocodona races or any of those? Because I feel like any backyard ultra runner who's going as far as you're going, like the pace thing is up there with what they're doing. Um, it would be cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, Cocodona. I mean, that looks like a really cool race. I've been tempted to like think a little bit more seriously about giving that one a shot. Just going to check it out. I'd really like to run it. Um, I was talking to Levi Yoder a lot about it because he paced his buddy out there I think last year. So he was telling me all about it, and it just everything he told me just made me want to go run that race more. So Cocodona is definitely on my list of races I'd like to get to. But like otherwise like the longer like 200 like set distance 200 milers. I mean those have always attracted me, but they're just it's such a huge commitment. Like the Bigfoot 200 and what are the other ones out there in the
Like
Northwest, like Salt the
Moab.
Lake yeah Lake Tahoe. They look really cool, but they just seem like such a huge commitment as far as like registration costs,
Yeah.
travel costs. I'm just, oh, man, that's a lot, and so that's kind of like kept me at bay away from those. But last like couple years or so, I've been really like thinking about trying like more uh like a multi-day race, like either a 3 or 6 day. But I haven't picked one to do yet. It's been the last 2 years I've been pretty interested in like I've been on the fence about actually like seriously thinking about signing up for one, but um, haven't jumped into that yet. But I think maybe next year I might try and jump in and give a 6 day a
Oh
shot.
wow.
But it's just like the pacing I'm a little unsure of what I would try to do, and the biggest thing that I'm unsure about is like the sleep schedule, because I mean with backyards, I mean it's like well you sleep as much as you can between laps, and that's your sleep schedule. It's kind of set for you. But with the 6 day, I'm not sure what my plan would be for a sleep schedule in something like that, because you have the opportunity to lay down for a 2 3 hour nap, but I'm not sure if that's that's the best way to do it or not, or if that would work best with my body. So, um, but the longer multi-day races really are intriguing to me right now. So if I get away from running backyards, that's probably where I'm going to go.
The 6 day looks crazy. Do you think like the fueling for that is different? Like, are people just trying to get fuel down fast? Is it like mostly gels or like quick, like liquid carbs, or are people still eating, you think, for those?
I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's got to be a lot of real food. I mean, for
Yeah,
going that long, I couldn't. I mean, I eat a lot of gels during backyards, but that's just mainly out of convenience because I can
yeah,
throw a gel in my pocket and eat it during the yard. But after like 3 days of eating a bunch of gels during a backyard, I'm like I'm done with gels. I mean, it's like I don't want to see a
yeah,
gel.
yeah.
So I couldn't imagine like trying to choke down gels for 6 days. So I'm not sure like what most of the six day runners do, but I imagine I would want to try and make it like real food the focus, like just easy digestible food. I go to mashed potatoes a lot. That's kind of like my go-to for real food that I can just get down fast and seems to digest really quick in my stomach. So it's like uh, mash and ramen are kind of my go-tos for real food when I want something that's just gonna be quick calories and digest well.
Yeah, this is my first year trying mashed potatoes, and I loved it. Yeah, it's so quick and it's like just easy on the stomach.
Yeah, it's just like it just like sits so well in my stomach too. It just I don't feel like overfull from it, and I don't think I've ever like really felt like uneasy stomach after eating a bunch of mashed potatoes. So it works. And
Yeah.
the other thing I discovered it was at Capitol because it was one of the new foods I tried there. They had it was mashed avocado and rice with sea salt. Is like I think it's basically like just like yeah, three ingredients and just all mixed up, but they were making the avocado rice balls with it. And I ate a ton of those. I think it was the first year at Capitol, and ever since it's like that's like one of my go-to foods. But
Oh, wow.
um, I usually only get it at I usually only have it at Capitol because
Yeah.
I'm not prepping like avocado and stuff before
Yeah,
I
yeah,
go to
sure.
bed. Just going on my own.
Did you do any of the smoothies there?
Oh yeah. I drink a bunch of smoothies. Yeah,
Do those
yeah.
sit
Those
well?
smoothies for me, but I think after if I have too many, then it's a little too sweet for me. I get kind of tired as it gets a little too sweet for me if I have too much. But but yeah, I went through quite a few of them. And the past years I probably had more just because the past years were a lot hotter, so the cool smoothie was just like tasted even better. Just was even more refreshing than it was this year.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then for that 48-hour race, were you doing a lot of gels or was that a lot of real food?
It was a good mix. I mean, it was gels, but it was a good share of like real food too. So I'd say it's probably more real food at that 48 hour than gels, as far as like the mix of the two than I usually have at backyards. Backyards, I'm like usually doing like maybe a gel every other hour, every 3 hours or so, just because especially if I'm not eating a lot of real food, then I'll make sure I bring a gel out on the yard with me and eat it during the yard, just because it's I always worry about getting behind on calories, so I figure the gel is just an easy way to get like 100 calories in during your yard, and that way it's just kind of like almost like security. If you're not getting real food in, you're getting the calories in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and then in terms of like caffeine wise, are you big into caffeine? Do you do it pretty early on or do you kind of hold off for a while or?
Yeah, I try to hold off on the first night. Like that's been my kind of like my strategy for the last few backyards is to try to if I can make it through the first night without caffeine, see if I can make it through the entire night without caffeine. I don't think that's happened though. I think I've at some point every backyard like come around like 2 a.m. or so. The the first night I'm just feeling super drowsy. And I start hitting the caffeine, I'd say usually probably like around 2 or 3 a.m. I think that's when I hit the caffeine at Capitol. I was just like getting super groggy that first night, and for whatever reason, it's like I feel like the grogginess, like that drowsiness, hits harder the first night. It's like more of a shock to the system when you're in your normal routine of sleeping at night, like a normal person, and then like all of a sudden you're telling your body, no, we're not sleeping tonight. We're going to stay up and run all night. Your body's just kind of like, well, I'm not into this. What are you doing? And so that's where like I actually felt more energized and more awake the second night at Capitol this year than the first night. I was probably taking less caffeine the second night and still feeling less groggy.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of like caffeine day to day, like outside of running?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, so yeah, it's coffee like morning and yeah, some coffee in the afternoon, little afternoon to keep me going, get me through the day.
Yeah.
And then when I get home from work, I hit the caffeine again
Oh, yeah.
to wake up and not feel like I'm dead when I'm trying to keep up with the kids at home.
Yeah. How has that been like balancing the running that you're doing leading up to these races with like, I can't imagine like adding kids on top of it and um, like how does that work? Like balancing, being able to get your runs in with work and all that.
Yeah, it's a huge juggling act. I mean, there's always like something going on. It's like there's very little downtime. There's not too many times that I sit down on the couch and turn on the TV. That's a pretty rare occasion for me. But it's like just try and manage it all. I mean, like keep everything in its own category and not let any one piece of the puzzle fall too far away. It's like family, work, running. It's like the three pieces that you gotta make them all mesh somehow. And so it's just like trying to figure out how to make it all work and not let any one of them suffer too much. And I mean, for me, I mean, like I'm just like super thankful that my wife is like Amanda's like so supportive of me, not just at going out to races. I mean, this is the first time that her and the kids came with me to a race was at Capitol for a few years. But I mean, for the last couple of years, I mean, it's like to go away on a race. I mean, it's like I'm leaving the kids at home and she's got the kids while I'm off doing my hobby, what I want to get out and do. And so she's always been super supportive of that. And it's not just like the races, it's like all the training runs. I mean, we juggle everything with all the household chores, everything, and getting all that done and still trying to make time for me to get out on training runs, consistently and long runs on the weekends. And so I mean, you can't do it without a supportive partner.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, that is very impressive to be able to like have that teamwork and make it all work. That is awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't. I am blessed. I'm a blessed man.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the backyard ultra too is like in many different ways is like so much of a team sport where you need like your crew, you need like even people at the race to help you or I don't know, there's so much to balance or even taking time off work for that long. It's a lots of balance to make it happen.
Yeah. The time off of work is a huge thing too. I mean, it's like when you start requesting time off for work, it's like, okay, well, how many days do
Yeah.
I need?
Yeah.
You never know for sure. So, I mean, it makes it really tough. But I think that's kind of, at least for me, that's kind of like the fun of the backyard.
Yeah. Do you have like a set like amount of days you tell them or is it just kind of like based on like the race? Are you like I'm gonna take a week off or is it like 4, but if I need another day I'll like shoot you a text or something?
Yeah. I usually leave it kind of open ended, and like my supervisor, he's like super cool about it, and as long as have all my I keep on get all my stuff done. It's like and there's nothing else no conflicts that week. I mean, he's super cool about it, and we've I've done enough now where I request the time off, and it's like, yeah, I'm requesting off through Thursday, but I'm not sure if I'm really gonna be off till Thursday. So he's pretty flexible about it. So it's worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And then to kind of wrap things up, we had some questions that I want to dive into that people asked. I'm going to pull them up now. Um, we'll do some quick questions for you. One of them is like, what does recovery look like after a big race? So maybe an example of like after your furthest distance that you did when you went 366, and then maybe after one where you're doing like 100 miles. Like, is it different? Is it similar? How does it look like for you?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different. Like it's actually yeah, it's pretty fresh in my mind right now because the race I did just last March, the BS backyard, that one ended at 92 miles. So that was pretty short as far as backyards go from compared to other backyards I've done. So that recovery was like it was just kind of like okay, take a rest day and then basically got back into like my running, my a couple of like easy recovery training runs, but then I was like, okay, now it's back to training, time to get ready for Capital. So that was like one of the really just a quick recovery, not much downtime. But after Bigs last year, it was that was kind of rough. I mean, it's like when you go that much farther and like your body's just that much more stressed, it's like it affects like every like kind of like all bodily functions for a longer time, I guess. Because like I'm I feel super sleep deprived and tired, but can't sleep well because like the body is just like muscle aches and like pain, like feet are beat up, everything hurts for days after. So it's like you don't get to catch up on the sleep that you feel like you really need, and that's probably like the roughest part of the recovery is just like the fact that you feel like you need to sleep so bad, and it's just like it's really hard to get that sleep because there's just your body's like everything hurts. And then I mean the other part of recovery I've seen that I've been surprised by is like how huge of an appetite I have for like days after. Like the longer runs, like going like 2-3 days, I my sleep's also broken because I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just like starving, and I get up like multiple times for a couple of nights after a real long race, and I'll just go out and make myself like whatever looks good in the refrigerator. It's like I just like I wake up and I just I got to eat. I get up and make myself a meal, and then eat and go back to bed and try and get back to sleep for a few more hours before I wake up hungry
Yeah.
again. But it just feels like your body is just like burning through whatever you feed it. So
Yeah, probably even just like the recovery aspect of just helping your body heal just needs the all that fuel.
right. So yeah, I think your body's just like been so beat up and
Yeah.
probably calorie depleted that it's just like yeah, just put some fuel in the fire.
I saw one that just came up a question. It was asked about like weekly mileage. Maybe like do you usually like peak out at a certain weekly mileage heading into these backyard ultras? Do you like what does that typically look like for you?
Yeah, so I usually just like building up for an ultra. I just like try to like, you know, just gradually increase like weekly, monthly mileage. I look at it more like as a few months of building up usually between backyards. So then it's like I'll just like look at average like daily average miles for 1 month, and then next month I want to increase, and then the following month increase again. So for Capital, my weekly mileage, it maxed out at the highest mileage week I had was like 93 miles. So I mean, I think comparatively, you know, there's other ultra runners out there doing way more than that, kind of way higher mileage than that. So I think comparatively, it's not like a really big mileage, but it's all just like really mostly all just really relaxed, like easy like conversation pace miles. But I've never done over 100 miles in a training week. The only time I've done over 100 miles is during a race.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So you're just kind of like built up ready, and then just when the race comes, just take it
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I think one of my favorite quotes from another backyard runner is you don't have to destroy your body to know that you can
Yeah.
destroy your body.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. 100%. Um, Another one. At what age did you start running?
Let's see. Well, after other than, I mean, I don't consider like when I played soccer in my youth as running. So after like the soccer days were over, I didn't start running until I was probably like 25 or 26. So, and I turned 45 this year. So it's been about, yeah, been all about 20 years since I started.
This is actually a question I have. How do you feel like as you get older, your body's like responded to these distances? Because ultra running and the backyard ultra is obviously a sport where you see a lot of people in their 40s and their 50s. Do you feel like your body's getting stronger as you're getting older? Have you noticed like anything like not be as good? How do you feel about all that?
It's, I feel like I mean, the first ultra that I did, I mean, first 100 miler I did was, I think, 2017. And so, I mean, it's like, I was a little younger at the time, but I mean, not like vastly younger. It's not like it was my youth or anything. But I, I feel like I still like it was like recovery was tough then. And I don't know, I think like, after running ultras and just like building up the endurance for like 10 years or so, I think your body just kind of like adapts and adjusts to that kind of abuse and can tolerate it better. I mean, I'm sure at some age though, it's like the recovery is going to take longer, and I mean, it's aging. I mean, it happens to all of us. So I mean, at some point, it's like, yeah, the effects of aging are going to be there. But I don't know. I mean, looking at like, you know, guys like Harvey Lewis, who I like last year. I mean, or that was the last year of individuals when he set the new world record. I mean, 108 yards, and I think he was like 47 at the time. So I mean, he's still, late 40s and cranking out huge backyard performances and recovering fast and going doing a bunch of other crazy races. I mean, like sometimes the way he puts big races like so close together, it was a few years ago when he did the big race, Dead Cow, and he went pretty far there. I think it was like 90 yards or something. And then 3 weeks later, he was running Badwater and put up a really impressive time at Badwater. Is like the way that guy recovers and can crank out like really good performances. I mean, it gives me hope that I still got at least a few more years of being able to run backyards without killing myself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that is so impressive. Um, yeah, especially a couple weeks. That's a quick turnaround to go back to back.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. Like his recovery and going out and cranking out another huge effort. It's a lot faster than I've ever like attempted to do any two big efforts that close together.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm excited to
I
see
know he.
Dead Cow Gully this year. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of big runners there.
Yeah, they got a pretty solid lineup there. It's pretty stacked. They got they've got the right people there to push it to world record. I was talking to a few people about like about how the world record's going to change. It was like a little after Biggs, and after the Belgium team pushed the world record to what was like 110 yards
Yeah.
there. So we were talking about, well, you think it's going to sit there for a while? My thought at the time was, well, Dead Cow Gully will be the spot where it's broken next. But here we are. It's been broken already since then.
Yes.
So uh, we'll see if they can do it again though, because I mean they got the right guys there to push it. I mean, Bill Gore, Sam Harvey, Harvey Lewis, the Belgian runners. I mean, they've got the right group to really push the distance. So I'm not sure what that course is like though. I don't know if the course is will be the best for pushing the long distance, but they got the right people in anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And then, do you know if you're running Capital next year?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't thought much about next year yet, to
Yeah,
be
still got a
honest.
long ways to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a silver ticket year, so I think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a few more people there that I've run with before that are shooting for that silver ticket, that would probably make it a pretty fun race to do. So. Um, Yeah, I'm undecided yet, but there's probably a good chance I might be there. Depends on how like whether I decide to tackle that 6 day thing and which 6 day I go for, and if it conflicts with Capital.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm thinking about running next year, so next year I'll have to get some miles in with you if I do run it.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't get to run much. You were cranking out the yards,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I kind of like to like just getting ahead, and then we don't like have much elevation in Illinois, and I was like, oh, the first half is flat, and then the back half is hills. Like I could just take my sweet time on these hills.
Yeah,
So I was enjoying the front half, and I like just kind of like mentally just be able to get ahead. But I don't know, that might have bit me in the butt. My Achilles was like done by the end. Um, but
well,
yeah, that course is beautiful. I
yeah.
definitely want to run it again.
Yeah, and I think that course has the potential to go a lot farther. I think if the weather's good and
Yeah.
the right group of people are there, that course could really get pushed a lot farther than it has. I'm sure we could break 400 there.
Yeah, 100, especially like the weather the day or the weekend we were there. That was like I kept looking at it, it was perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at the forecast leading up to like the highs all for. I was looking at Saturday, Sunday, Monday highs, and like every high was like right around 70. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is
Oh,
perfect running weather.
yeah, you literally
So
feel like you're like on a playground there. It's just like I feel like time just flies with weather like that.
yeah, yeah. And this is just like the cool like chill trail and like shaded. Like the hottest part of my day was always like being back in my aid station tent. That was the hottest part of the
Yeah,
day.
100%.
When I was on the shade and the trails, it was
Yeah,
great. It was a nice
yeah,
breeze. I was loving it.
absolutely. Well, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time. It was great chatting and getting all things backyard ultra. And people definitely follow Scott. He's got a lot more big things coming. Maybe a 6 day coming up next year. So stay tuned for all that. But thanks for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Hey, yeah, yeah. Thanks for inviting me, Chase. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, we can both end up at Capitol again next year and share some miles there.
I love it. Sounds great. Thank you, Scott. Have a great night, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Have a good one, Chase.
You too. Bye.